Hey, good morning. I wanted to talk to you guys today about, well, remediation. You see, doing this whole project with my website has forced me to take a deeper look at some of my own practices, and also it has forced me to really sit down and think and reflect and try to articulate some of the things that I've done that have been successful. There's one in particular that's huge, and this is probably going to be cut up into, well, several different videos. And wow, sun's bright this morning, but only for a little while, because today is August 21st and we're going to have an eclipse. Anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about, one of the biggest things is, well, why tutoring and remediation seem to fail so much. I mean, maybe it's because the kids that are, in remediation, well, they're there for a reason. But I think there's something bigger, and something that's addressable. I think we can do something differently that'll help. Anyway, in education, there's three major questions, right? What do we want them to know? How do we know when they know it? And the third one is, what do you do when they don't get it? Well, the third one's the tough one. A lot of the reason why the third one's the tough one is because it's not preventative. We are designing things and anticipating huge problems. There will always be problems. There will always be kids that struggle and get things a little bit more slowly than others, but I think we could do more on the front end. And that's where I put most of my focus so far is, on the initial introduction of materials and the follow-up and as we see our way through an entire concept to try to prevent kids from not getting it. And I'm pretty successful with all that, and I hope you find what I've created so far to be useful. Anyway, what do you do when they don't get it? Well, there's a couple things that students do. Not just students, we do the same thing. There's a couple things people that are confused. There's a couple things we do that keep us confused. You see, what causes us not to get it is not a lack of information. It's actually that we fail to see how the new information isn't the same as what we already have. We're not blank slates, and we have preconceived ideas of how things work. I mean, consider for a second somebody that's trying to learn how to use a new piece of software, and it's got a strange interface. So let's say that Windows 11 came out, or some new Apple operating system, and it was totally different. People that would struggle with that, they would be trying to adapt what they already know so that it would fit. And they would think that there's something wrong with the system, or they would say they just can't get it. And you could sit there until you're blue in the face and you could show them step by step how it works. However, it's not going to stick because they're not seeing what it is that they already believe is wrong. They keep trying to do the same things that has worked for them in the past. And they morph the new information to fit this new thing that you're trying to introduce to them, and they take what's right that you're giving them and they make it wrong so it fits with what they already believe. That's kind of how it works. Students in class do the same exact thing. If a student doesn't know how to get common denominators correct consistently, you showing them's not going to help. Number one, they already have access to the information, but even worse, they're not going to recognize it as being substantially different than what it is that they do. They're going to think it's like some capricious act of a deity that makes things go wrong. Kind of funny, but if you've ever worked with people that are having difficulty using software, that's kind of how they react. They're just cursed by God. It's not their fault. It's not the computer's fault. They're just destined to struggle. Anyway, so students, when presented with information, they fail to see it as different and unique, and they fail to see that what they're doing wrong is wrong, and replace that with what's right. So you got to show them what it is that they are doing is in fact incorrect, and well, you have to replace it with what's right. But you have to do so very, very carefully, because the second thing we all do is we latch onto procedure. Imagine that person learning a new computer program again. When you try to teach them, this is how you print something or whatever. You show them step by step, they're going to be really happy. They may take notes step by step. They latch onto the procedure as if that's understanding, and they feel comfortable and they feel relieved. The thing is that they don't understand. They don't understand the interface. They don't understand how to do anything, because if one little thing changes, if they're printing in, say, Word, and then they want to go print in Excel, one little thing changes and they need a whole new set of notes because they actually do not understand. So you have to be careful with the procedure. Especially in math, this is true, because let's go with the fractions thing again. If you're doing the procedure for them and they're watching, they're going to feel comfortable because they've seen it before. And then they're going to feel like, oh yeah, I am learning. This is working. And it will work for a little while, a couple days maybe. But as soon as they're out of that context, and as soon as they're maybe trying to find common denominators for some rational expression, they'll have no idea. They'll be no better off than they were before. And in some cases, I think they get worse, because their experience is bigger and stronger. And their experience is that everything is wrong. And they become more and more, well, they identify increasingly more with that experience. So, to sum up, there's two things that I think we need to do differently for students that are struggling, like in tutoring or some sort of remediation. The first thing is we have to expose their misconceptions, and we have to show why what it is that they believe or what it is that they're doing is wrong. But we have to do it in a way that we aren't showing steps. We're not discussing procedure. We're discussing concepts and showing why what they're doing is wrong. I think that would apply to anything, not just math, of course. And then the second thing we got to do is, once they identify that what they're doing is wrong, then you have to replace it with the idea of what's right before you show them the steps. They've probably seen the steps a million times before, but you have to show them like how the steps help get what is right. So the idea, again, is not that they're going to write down a procedure. In fact, I think it's a big red flag when they want to write down a procedure in remediation, because they've probably already written it down before. They still aren't understanding. So, last thing, for example, in class the other day I had a student taking notes. He was taking forever because he was writing everything on the PowerPoint down. He asked me to go back, and I told him that I would go back to the slide that I had just left. I told him I would go back, but I wouldn't let him write anything down. I'd make him read it. And then after he read and understood, then I let him take notes. And it's kind of like that, you see. We need to make sure that the kids or the students understand, not just write it down. They feel comfortable writing it down, but that's not learning. So anyway, got to expose the misconception. You've got to replace the misconception with, well, proper understanding. And for all of that, you can't fall back on procedure. So that's my working theory at the moment. I'm playing around with that ever more. And give it a shot yourself and let me know how it's going. And until next time, I really do thank you for your time, and hope to see you again soon. Anyway, have a good day. Oh yeah, one last thing. You know, I'm working on this project where I'm trying to create a whole bunch of materials for teachers and students alike, so that when kids graduate from high school, if they go to college, they don't have to take remedial math courses. So that if they go to college and they have a dream job, that they don't change their dream job once they open the college catalog and see all those math courses. I want to empower students. I want them to learn math right, regardless of what their career path is going to be. I don't want math to be in the way. So I think that we are in the midst of a paradigm shift in mathematics education, especially secondary. The industry of education, I'm talking about the institution all the way across, they realize it's happening too. But their response is to double down with the poor techniques and materials and supplies that, well, put us in a situation that initiated this shift to begin with. I'm finding a bunch of junk out there. Like, we're doing textbook adoption at my school right now. We have looked at all sorts of publishers, and it's all really bad. It seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse. And our professional development, it's just not there. It's the same thing we've always heard. They've just, maybe changed the makeup a little bit, but it's still very teacher focused. Anyway, my response, instead of just complaining about it, is to, put together all these materials, and I could use your help. I need your feedback, and I need exposure. So if you let me know through comments or email, I'll put all the links in the description. If you let me know how things are going, it would really help me out. It would really help me find my direction, because I've never done anything like this. I've been teaching for a long time, but articulating what makes teaching effective, tough to do. So the other thing you could do is give me exposure by sharing on social media and maybe with, some peers. Anyway, thank you once again, and hope you have a good day.